So lots of women have been asking us, why are hypopressives so hard?
Oh, why are they so hard? I think it's because they don't feel the lift.
Essentially,
that's the short answer. They don't feel the lift, so it's hard. They don't feel the lift. And so I think they get into, like the habit of trying harder, doing more.
Yeah.
And so it's very easy for them to fall into the pan of doing what I call the voluntary contraction. So, when they're actively pulling in
like
their tummy muscles.
Vacuuming almost.
To try and achieve this. And whilst they feel it, it's working, they feel something, because they do, they feel something coming in.
Yeah.
But the difference is, they can pull their tummy muscles in, but that creates pressure. And the pressure is going to go one way down into the prolapses, and highly likely that there may be diastasis recti if women do have a diastasis recti. Or history of that hasn't completely healed. It goes there as well. Because they've just pulled everything in. With the true lift in the apnea, when we expand the ribs, stretches the diaphragm and the fascia, and it kind of creates even more space. Now with that fancy lift called the magic, it draws things up.
Okay, so can I just quickly check for everyone? So
sorry,
No, it's all good. So voluntary contraction is, I'm sucking everything in, I'm used to doing sports, I don't want my belly to look relaxed and big or whatever, and tightening everything
we've
up.
seen women, when women say, oh yeah, is that when you kind of zip up a tight pair of jeans? It's that kind of thing that they think that they should be doing.
Got you.
But it's the complete opposite.
Like a bodybuilding vacuum.
Okay.
Alright, and then you're saying that when we breathe into the ribs, we create space, we relax, we let go, and we allow the magic to happen. I'll let you say more about that. That's what we call the involuntary true apnea.
Yes. And so it's not about trying to activate your abs or pull your abs in. All it literally is expanding the ribs sideways as much as you can. Now this creates even, obviously, isn't it, like more space. So meaning that under the ribs, that's where the lungs are. So you've got more space for your lungs to take that air in. So therefore you've got more space there. So when you do inhale, the pressure doesn't go down or out into the belly, when some people mistakenly think you should kind of push your belly out a little bit, or it should expand a lot when you do a diaphragmatic breath.
Right, okay.
And whilst there is truth in that, it's still pressure going out or down. With the hypopressive, because we create more space in the ribs, that's where, if you want to call it that, pressure goes, or it stays up there. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, definitely.
And so,
and you can feel there isn't any pressure down when you get that true breath into the rib.
And so that's why hypopressives, to my knowledge, in my 25 years of rehabbing, working with the core, is the only kind of form of exercise that doesn't increase pressure. Just about every other fancy, sexy exercise I've seen in the gym, Duncan, can I still do this? Can I do Kegels? Can I do the scissors? Can I do this? They pretty much all increase that pressure, intra-abdominal pressure that goes into the prolapses, which is why I believe many women will do various different courses that are even stated, with all due respect to them, that we can help manage your symptoms, your prolapse symptoms, or rebuild your core. And whilst they have benefit, I believe the number one reason they don't reverse prolapses and only manage is because they're still doing exercises that increase that pressure. And so what's, again, for some that there's a great benefit, but not for reversing prolapses. Because they're just kind of maintaining. There's some improvements, because some women feel much better because they're no longer as incontinent. So I'm not saying that they're no good at all, but when it comes to reversing prolapses, the reason why they don't is because they're still doing stuff that increases that pressure, the downward pressure. Whereas hypopressives is the only one, in my opinion, that I have seen that does not.
Okay, great, thank you. Next question is, why do women who've experienced trauma, so our niche, so obviously our program has a huge emotional component. We teach people to feel safe and secure, mind, body. Why does our niche who've experienced trauma, why do they struggle so much with hypos?
Because essentially, if you think about it, due to their history, or anyone that's, let's just say, is in anxiety
stress,
more often than they want to be, that fight or flight, their system is switched on and geared up
tense
to protect, because they're constantly on edge for essentially danger. That protective mechanism. Now you can go back to, I know it sounds silly, but referring how we were as a caveman or woman. It's that I need to defend myself constantly. And it ties in, doesn't it, with that defensiveness vulnerability scale that you talk about so nicely. So going back to the physical, they're on edge. They feel as though they're being attacked. And of course, it's not a nice analogy, but perhaps you think about a boxer to go to an extreme. He's about to be attacked, so he's tense, isn't he? He's even guarding. And sorry to be too graphic like that or go too much detail. Please forgive me. I do tend to go on a little bit. Essentially, most of the guarding is they're kind of holding themselves in that pattern. But essentially, they're holding on to their core. They're tensing their abdominal muscles. Okay, so when I come on and say, hey, we've got to expand the ribs and free-flowing breath into the ribs, they can't really achieve that because they're holding on, their abdominals are clenched. And most of them, a lot of them tell me, oh, I've been told I'm an upper ab gripper. It's the same thing. So the upper abs, rectus abdominis, attached to the lower ribs. So they're going to hold the ribs down.
Got you.
And when I come on and say, hey, can we expand those ribs? Can we move them sideways as much as you can when you inhale? And the true apnea is being able to do that without actually inhaling. And if they can't move the ribs, they can't create that stretching of the fascia of the diaphragm that creates the suction that has that magic lift. Lifting of the prolapses via the connective tissues, via those ligaments and fascial connections. That can't happen. Because they can't expand the ribs, because their abdominals are still holding on. And that could be from, I call it faulty, I don't mean any disrespect, but faulty kind of patterns from other maybe classes or exercises, stuff they've seen on YouTube or even in, on other people's courses. And this is what I think is quite a problem unless someone is assessed or prescribed exercise by someone who is highly skilled and highly knowledgeable. Because going into the detail, you remember, after pregnancy, a lot of your tummy muscles weren't working effectively because they've been stretched for 9 months. So naturally they're not really responding. And so you go and chuck in certain exercises if you're not being monitored or tested, and you kind of think you're doing them. Like, I don't want to knock Kegels, but you could be doing a Kegel. If you can't quite feel that Kegel inside straight away, you're going to over-recruit other muscles, which are normally the rectus abdominis. And they're the easiest, they're the easiest to contract. With some of the pelvic floor and the deep abdominal muscles, they're still kind of tired. It's like, hey, we've just been stretched and overworked for 9 months. We're on holiday, we're having a break. And yet, the mentality is, which is great, they want to recondition themselves, they want to lose their mummy tummy. They try so hard and put a tremendous amount of effort in. But that effort is just misdirected, I find, because some of those muscles just haven't worked properly. So it's almost like, forgive me for going into too much detail, when we worked in Switzerland, I like the analogy of, you almost got to go in with the tools of a Swiss watchmaker, and you just tweaking or tinkering, as opposed to adjusting a Swiss watch with a hammer. Now I know that sounds maybe extreme, but that's the way I look at it. And if you're not maybe testing or you're not doing certain exercises to begin to recondition those exercises neurologically, i.e. being able to isolate them, you never really know what muscles you're truly activating. And I'm sorry if that's a little bit too much detail, so I'll put it another way. Coming back to that analogy, it's like some core exercises are, okay, we're going to pull everything in as though we're putting on a tight pair of jeans and zipping them up. So in reality, that isn't really isolating any muscles. It's just whatever they can do to pull everything in, and it's not sustainable. And that's when they come to trying to do hypopressives, they think they're doing the same thing. They pull everything in because that's what they're used to doing, or knowing, well, that's the right thing to do, isn't it? Pull everything in, or lift. And sadly, most of the time, it isn't, because they haven't broken down specific movements and isolating some of those deep core muscles and pelvic floor muscles. Via some breath work, etc. So sorry, I understand it's probably a long answer for you.
That was a great answer.
Yeah.
If you'd like to know more and you'd like to have a taster hypopressive workshop with Duncan, there is a link below in the description, or you can just write hypo into the comments section and Duncan will take you through one of his master hypopressive workshops.